Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
All right.
I'm here with Mike Herren. This guy has inspired me so much in business. I remember when I heard him at an event and he said that he had interviewed hundreds of people. And I'm currently interviewing people in my business. I interviewed about 20, and I thought I was gonna get 20 out of 20. But he had proven to me that out of hundreds and hundreds of people, you get a solid a foundational team, like a good solid set of volunteers. And that's not just it. I mean, he has literally gave hundreds of charity, hundreds of dollars worth of charity. That's amazing.
Thousands.
Sorry, thousands. That's something I want to do. And
charity starts at home first.
Charity starts at home first.
Take care of your business first. That's what we're going to tell everybody at Hurricane Radio. I mean, we have some non-profit tendencies and some non-profit instincts and some non-profit, thread that runs through our core. But we're not a non-profit. We are a for-profit. So we got to make sure that Hurricane Radio is solid at its foundation financially, which it currently isn't. We have turned significant investment offers away because it wasn't the right fit for us, for whether it was the characters involved, the percentage breakdown, the control issues. There's been a million things. But I mean, right now, we got our landlord banging on the door because we owe him a month's rent.
Wow.
So I mean, we gotta make sure. That's what sometimes we get caught up in doing other stuff, and we got to really pay attention to locking into our foundation and making sure we are as solid and as strong as we possibly can be. Because without Hurricane Radio being solid and strong, we can't get the 300 codes for kids who don't have them. We can't send 100 urban inner city kids to a camp in the woods, Camp Welch, the oldest camp, active camp in the country, and get that experience of chasing frogs and hearing crickets, some things they'll never get to do. Right. We can't get 3,000 pounds of food to the Hood Street fire victims in 4 hours. We can't get $10,000 of toys donated, to the St. Vincent's Home and the Boys Club and the various other charities that we go to. We can't take the addict who needs help, who shows up at our door with their bags, into treatment and service if we're not squared away. And an old wise man told me a long time ago, charity starts at home first, and this is home to me, literally and figuratively. I live here. That's a sacrifice that I've made, but it starts here. It starts with the foundation being strong. So, get your stuff right, you know what I mean? And then once you're right, then you can do all those good things. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just by having the balls and a commitment to start a new business based in newer technologies in the area that we live in, that is courageous and that is heroic. Right. Because what your work can do for you. You may be able to gainfully employ 50 to 100 people. That's what my goal is here. The footprint that we leave at Hurricane Radio, and young people like yourself who are upwardly mobile and ambitious, and don't want to work in a factory, or don't want to do this, or don't want to take the municipal job, or don't want to do something different, that we can kind of be an example of that.
That's awesome.
But the new media age is it's a much more difficult sell here where we're located than in other parts of the country. And we would get some national accounts and regional accounts, and we've worked our way around that. But as a startup, I mean, let's keep it real here. When you walk out the door, you're in the 4th worst economy in the country.
Right.
I'm not sure if you're aware of that, but the Florida, New Bedford area is the 4th worst economy
I didn't know that.
in the entire country. So just the fact that you have the initiative and the ambition and the courage to do something that you're doing, that's big things.
I appreciate that. Well, you have great core values. So how do you,
yeah. My core is good. Right. Around my core, you know what I mean? Don't get it twisted. I'm a sinner.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Inside, you're a good person.
Yeah, sure.
You inspired me to come here and be able to interview you. And my question to you is, how did you take a vision and make it a reality? Because to me, this is, I don't know, because maybe from your eyes it's not a reality yet, but in my eyes it's like, wow, how the hell did you make that happen?
And I'm going to get to that, but our buzz and our swag and our underground vibe is what has got us to this level, without question.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I mean? And we have that. And our success is much further ahead than where we are. You know what I mean? Usually it's the other way around. You know what I mean? If we had some cash and some capital, then we could match with the infrastructure and the equipment, and we could do this on a big scale. But this was originally supposed to be a 3 to 5 year plan, and now it's been a year and a half. So, you know, the progress that we made has great, but the struggle is enormous and gets the better of you from time to time. And you know, you just gotta, you know, when you get knocked down or when you have a bad day or things don't go your way, you gotta get back up and you gotta get right back on it. That motivates me.
That's awesome.
I'm motivated when people tell me no. I'm motivated when say they can't or they won't. That gets me going. But, you know, how this started, ironically, to get back to your original question was, unfortunately, this is nothing to be proud of. I was incarcerated for roughly 3 weeks in the Ashtree Jail in New Bedford. It's the oldest active jail in the country. It's not a nice place to be. You're locked down 23 hours, 24 hours of the day. And, you know, I was all over the regional news, and I'm sure if when you Google it, you'll see it. And if you're on front page for 4 days, I was involved in a very high-profile domestic situation. The woman that was involved with it, her grandfather was the former mayor of Fall River, a very reputable, respected family. The Herrens, obviously. So it was salacious for TV news and the tabloid organization that, you know, that it's turned into. And so while I was locked up in a stay awaiting bail, I knew I couldn't go back to my old job. I knew that I would have a scarlet letter. I knew that, you know, regardless of how effective or how good I was at what I did, that people were going to run away from me. But I knew I had the internet radio thing in my bag. I knew people had come up to me and approached me about it before. So I knew I had one play in this game left. So I wrote the business plan on 5 pieces of compensation paper that was smuggled into me from inmates from Fall River who tried to make it my stay as comfortable as possible with them. And I put the business plan together on 5 pieces of paper. And the first day out of jail, I got my feet under me. The second day, we had a meeting at my house, and there was 6 people there, and you know, 5 of those people are still with me. And we made it happen. And it was funny. Being in jail was the best place for me to be at that time. You know, it took me out of the fishbowl and the Fox News trucks following me around, you know, and it got me a place to think and to really focus and understand that how high the stakes are. And when you lose your freedom, and you know, when you become a number and not a man, you know, it's time to reflect. You know, and I did do that, but this was also rewarding as well too, because the love that I received in there, you know, from the prison guards who I had advocated for at my old job, who were the most underpaid, you know, in Bristol County at my former talk show job. I advocated for them. Many of them think that I lost my job because of my contentious battles with Sheriff Hodson. The inmates, a lot of them I had coached as young men. A lot of them I had mentored as young men. I had known their brothers and sisters and fathers and everything. So believe it or not, when I went into that god-awful place, there was a lot of love for me there. And it picked me up. And it made me realize that, yeah, yes, indeed, I was special. And I didn't really belong in here. And, you know, that you know, the core person that I was, you know, and how I've lived my life had affected a lot of people. And in a small way, when you don't have access to an extra pillow, or you don't have access to a pen or a piece of paper or a stamp or a book to waste time, and it's just you in an 8x10 cell, the value of that when it comes to you is far greater. And for those people to give up their Walkmans for me, which are $1,000 in that setting, you know what I mean? For them to, you know, give me their stamps and all of their stuff to make sure that I had enough, because transitionally you're not supposed to get any of that. You know, you have to wait until you do. For them to make sure that, you know, I was well taken care of. Gave some value to me when I needed it most. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I reflected on the relationships that I had, and I felt good that, wow, I must have done something right, for all of these people who are supposed to be the worst among us and the most incorrigible, to really be selfless and unselfish and really considerate to the situation I was going in. They were seeing it in the newspapers, they were hearing about it, and they took care of me there. And I was able to put this on paper and have the blueprint to build Hurricane Radio. And it's all fine and good to say you're going to do that, and it sounds like a little bit of a Hollywood kind of thing, but it's a whole other thing to hit the ground and effectuate it. And that's where the blood, sweat, and tears is.
So what was the first step that you took to make it happen?
We had a meeting with some people that I trusted, with some of the people that were in the industry, close friends of mine. It was ironic because the day that I got arrested, the day before, I just finished a deal to bring a semi-professional basketball team to Florida, called South Coast United. And we had a massive press conference at the Armory, and it was a great thing. We were on the front page of the paper. I was, a hugely popular talk show host. I just brought a professional sports team to Florida. I was on the top of my game. And the next night, I was in a holding cell in the Florida Police Department with all of that gone. The PBL rescinded. They said they weren't interested in doing business anymore. It was a dark time, and so to hit the ground running, I knew that I could pull some business stuff off. I knew that I had some hustle. I knew that I could do it. The power of positive thought is all powerful, especially starting a business. And my mom, who passed away, made a great impression on me, is most responsible, and my father, for my core values. I always had a saying, if it's to be, it's up to me. So, we hit the ground and we got going, and we put a team in place. And then the next thing to do was find the facility. And this is the facility that Hurricane Radio is right now. We're on the roof deck of it. But it was 104 degrees. We had been to 22 different places. I knew that there had been some type of recording studios up in this area before. So I made a good friend of mine, Pete Daly, who I introduced into speech, whose mother had died and worked up until that time. Her mother died for the company. We drove by, and I took the wrong number down out of the window. And I called it was the wrong number. And me and Pete kind of got into an argument about turning back around. You know what I mean? And we turned over the last rock. And I think that's an important principle. We'll get into that a little bit. But our last visit of the day, we walked in. I went to the dialed it. Portuguese guy, Eddie Borges, hardworking guy, old-fashioned way of doing business. Said, I'll be there in 5 minutes. He walked us through the place. We knew instantly it was for us. We negotiated a deal. He gave us a couple of months free rent. No lease, no nothing, no old school handshake.
Nice.
And we were in business. So we had a facility. And as soon as we did it, we put it on Facebook. Saying, okay, this is what we're going to do. And we built it. And we built it that way. You can see our company built from day one, okay, to the present where we are right now, right on Facebook.
That's awesome.
Every announcement, from the getting of the facility to the tour, to our first blog, to our first day of broadcasting, it's all there. I always thought that if I could ever get to the marketing people at Facebook and say, do you want an effective way, to use Facebook for your business, I think that we're a model. And it would be a great Facebook commercial for Facebook, because they could really track us.
Absolutely.
And show where we've gone. And we can be many things, but one thing that I know that we are the #1 new media company, PR, market, promotional company, consultant company in the South Coast, without question.
That's awesome.
Our numbers say that. Our effectiveness says that as well too. So we're definitely that. But we had a lot going on. We had a lot going on.
That's awesome. So speaking about how you said turning the rock over, you had mentioned that in
last
the phone
rock.
call.
The last rock. Yeah.
Because I was.
It's easy to turn the first 10, 15.
Right.
When it's 104 degrees,
Right.
you're in a car that doesn't have AC,
Right.
and you're running around. It's like the gold. The gold's at the next layer. The diamonds are at the next layer. You gotta work.
Is there a time where you decide to quit, or is it just keep on moving?
Anybody who says that it doesn't get to them and the pressures of starting a new business and that they're on dark times, I don't think is being honest, truthfully. But we all have them. It's how we respond to them. And there are times that I don't want to get out of bed, and there are times when I want to say, I'll go work for New York. I'll go work in New York. I'll go work in Boston. I'll go find some radio executive job somewhere. I'm sure that my accomplishments could get me that. But we made a commitment, and when I make a commitment to something, I like to see it through. I think that's very important. It's very important to me. I don't have. If you look at my financial records, you look at something, I don't have a great history of making a lot of money, being a successful money person, business person, but I do have a very good track record of maintaining long-lasting relationships. A lot of our accounts, a lot of our people we do business with, I've known for a long time, and that's important. Developing and maintaining relationships that help you, that pay your bills, that advertise on your radio station, that would hire you to consult them in how to take their business to the next level. Maintaining those relationships are important, and having lifetime relationships are important too. And we've used it here effectively.
So when it comes to business and life, speaking on relationships, which is very powerful, and everything you said is really powerful. How do you know which is the great relationship? Is that based on like a track record?
You never know. It's like a girlfriend. It's like a it's like a friend. There's ups and downs. 1 minute I think this relationship is impenetrable and solid and it's good, and then something happens. Whether it's a personality conflict or there's miscommunication at different levels. Relationships, you got to work them.
Right.
You just can't. It doesn't stay good and kosher and great. It takes effort. But when you have a solid foundation, if you have a couple of hiccups along the way, you're going to refer to your foundation, and then you're going to think, well, things may not be so smooth with X company, but I've known Steve for a long time, and there's no reason why we can't work this out and find something good, and that's what you got to do. Maintaining these relationships, getting a business relationship for you is critical, okay? But you'll learn that maintaining it is even more critical, because the more you maintain, the less you're going to have to sell. You know what I mean? You want to keep them on board. You want to keep them happy. You want to keep them going. You want to keep working for them. You know what I mean? You don't want to get a client and lose them. And we haven't lost many in here at Hurricane Radio, and that's important. You'll see that day. But this, it's a difficult dance. Trying to get money out of people's pockets around here is very, very difficult. You know what I mean? Much more difficult than in most places in the country.
Right?
They think you're stealing something sometimes.
I know.
What I mean?
What's up with that?
It's just. We grew up rough around here. Our parents worked real hard for their money. Cotton, textiles. Built this. Had a huge thing and built in this country.
Right.
And these people worked hard. These mills are here for a reason.
It's true.
It's not Silicon Valley. There's no cafeteria with yogurt and fucking shrimp.
Right.
You know what I mean? These people were bringing 2 days old beef stew for lunch. And bringing their lunch pail and going to work every day. And those old values are good. But it'd be nice if there'd be some balance and be more accepting of some of the new media ways and technologies.
Right.
The
new media is different.
Sure.
It's hard to find with those core values that they have from the past. how do you present that new media and gain trust? Because at the end of the day,
You know how I do it?
we want to drive traffic.
Of course,
to them.
yeah, sure. And they can be serviced. You got some of the best seamstresses, best artists in the world around here. Business that you could help without question, and a lot of great business ideas that aren't really marketed and promoted properly. You know what I do sometimes? When I lose them, I say, call your niece, get me your nephew, get me somebody down here. And ironically enough, we sold 4 or 5 different accounts because of that. They call their nephew who works for them, and the nephew sits in on the meeting, and is like, Uncle, I've been telling you this for the last 2 years. This is the way.
Wow.
It's free. Take advantage of it.
Right.
The new media is this great field, this great playing field. But if you don't work it, if you don't work that field, if you don't till that field, if you don't seed it, if you don't cut it, if you don't work it appropriately, it's just going to stay a field. I mean, it's what you're going to get from it. You're going to work the land of the new media. If you work that effectively, that's the business that you're about to teach people to do. If you work it effectively, it can work for you.
Right.
You know, and it's no overhead, and they don't. You know, Facebook doesn't have insurances or liabilities or 401k plans or anything else that most employees have. You know, our you know, I mean, as wonderful as the people we have working here are, and they are unbelievable, and they are the spirit and the soul of Hurricane Radio. You take Facebook away from us, that's our #1 employee.
Right. It's the way that you communicate with
Absolutely,
people.
sure. And we don't just communicate; we effectuate it.
Right. That's true.
You know, a lot of people talk about, and this is one of the things that I'm going to tell the people from Bain Capital that I'm meeting with on the 23rd, one of the biggest venture capitalist firms in the country. You know, everybody talks about being connected, okay? But the reality, and we are all connected to the new world, but the reality is there's also a huge personal disconnect. We don't talk to one another anymore. We don't talk to each other on the phone. We don't talk to one another like this anymore. Everything's done like this. Everything's done like this. And that's how we communicate. At Hurricane Radio, we're great we're the best around it, communicating that way. But we're also, you know, where it comes through. We take the new media and all that we say and promise and do and all of the great things that happen here, and we effectuate it and we put it onto the street. You know, like I said, you know, we'll take, you know, the seamstress who's been making suits in her cellar for, you know, 10 years. We'll start on Facebook with her daughter, and we'll talk and we'll do all of that stuff and this idea and that there. But, you know, we'll take it, we'll bring her in, you know, we'll effectuate and say, okay, you know, now let's go get some customers.
That's awesome.
You know, now let's put it on the street. Now let's take this concept and we do it. Whether it's with charity, with the food for the fire victims or everything, we're the place where all these great ideas, like on here, and all these questions, they usually get answered and effectuated at us. And that's what we are best at. We are the bridge between, you know, the new media in the world and all the hope and promises of that and all the talk and conjecture. We are the bridge that effectuates it and puts it into real life play and turns it into real life money or real life help or real life focus, whatever it may be. You know, that's what I think we're real good at. You know, I think that, you know, we got that new media hustle down, but the difference between us is, you know, we're not just posting every day and going back and forth. You know, we take that, we say we're going to do something,
And you're proving it.
and we do it.
Right.
You know, we do it. I mean, after the speech we put on the other day, we've had 5 addicts show up at the door here with their bags that we delivered to treatment centers.
Wow.
You know, so again, that concept. I mean, that speech of a lifetime was promoted primarily on the internet. We didn't advertise in local newspaper. We didn't advertise on local radio. We didn't have a commercial about it on Hurricane Radio. We did it all through Facebook. Okay, and to have the type of turnout that we had, you know, and to have the type of response we've had since, and be able to effectuate it, you know, not many people can do that. That's why we're a little different.
Right.
You know, that's why, you know, we're a little different. We're not this pie in the sky, you know, idea company. You know what I mean? Or what you're trying to do. You know what I mean? We actually, from time to time, have to take the customer to the client by hand.
Right. That's awesome.
know,
and I appreciate the fact that you're able to do that, and especially having how you said about your soul in the company. How do you present? That's what I'm going through right now.
Yeah.
How do you grow the soul? How do you develop a team? How do you make that happen? It's like the golden nugget.
I have been an absolute tyrant around here for the last month. The pressures of the investment companies being around us. The last one from LA was here for 4 days. When I say here, they're here.
Right.
You know what I mean? We went through a pretty rigorous investment opportunity that failed in the 11th hour 2 weeks before they came in. My focus hasn't really been on that, and haven't been very good at that over the last 30 days. We've lost a couple of shows. My patience is getting less and less limited. I am at times possibly too direct and too brutally honest to people. You know, remember, these people are working for free. You know, but there's also a quality control that we must maintain.
Right.
You know what I mean? And haven't been so good at that lately. But in the beginning, when I was very good at it, we made them feel that they were part of something special. That they were part of something much bigger than themselves. And when we had, you know, the first round of Craigslist and Facebook interviews and the radio reality to get our talk show hosts and build, you know, our foundation and our core here, I was very good at, you know, taking that first 10 or 20 and then bringing it to having 30 shows, original programming in 16 months, you know, without paying anybody. And it was that core of people initially who I really sold on, that you were part of something much bigger. And when you see single mothers come up here and leave with 3 coats for their daughters that are of high value, and you see like the relief that, wow, you just saved me $300-400, and they write you a nice thank you letter and they send it to, you know, then you're like, wow. When you're able to, you know, feed fire victims and 16 families in, you know, 3 hours, you know, wow, when you get up to send 100 kids to summer camp and you see pictures and you get letters from them, or you get, you know, responses from family members who you got Christmas toys for or whatever, and you see yourself making a difference, and you see people saying, you know, Hurricane Radio is inspiring me to volunteer 2 hours a day at my local church or my local boys club, and see the stuff you're doing. You see that happening, and then the people, you know, you're with, you know, they buy it, and I make them read them thank you letters, because that's what they do. You know, that's what they have. We give them value. We let them know, you know, that you know, together, you know, nothing can stop us. You know, as long as the brand is first, okay? You know, if we stay together and we keep being righteous and we keep working hard and we keep trying to do the best that we can every day, and we stay connected to our community, you know, we're going to be okay. And everybody wants to be part of a team, okay? There's a lot of bullshit in that, in these conferences that you go to or whatever. Everybody's team. You know, you got to have a team, and there are good days and bad days, and you have to recognize different skill sets and different strengths and weaknesses. We have a team here at Hurricane Radio, okay? And once you have that team, you want them to get value and worth. And when they see us growing, and we have a party, and there's 300 people waiting to get in, you know, the place that we're having a party at, because they're one of our clients. They see it happening, and people are pulling them out over the street saying, hey, you're with Hurricane Radio, how do I do this, how do I do that? They're like, wow, you know, Mike's right. You know, we have something here. We do have something. And once we got to that level, okay, it was much easier bringing more people on board.
That's crazy.
You know, once the people who we're working with, you know, I mean, if you got somebody who looks you in the eye and says, you know, I've been with Hurricane Radio for 7 months, I haven't made a dime, but I haven't missed a show yet. And because I believe in what we do, I've seen what we do, I know what our potential is. So, you know, I was just sitting in your exact same chair, you know, 7-8 months ago, and Mike was talking to me like I'm talking to you. You know, come be part of this, and you won't forget it, and you will make a difference, and you will have an impact, you know, on this business and on your community as well too. And I think that we've done that.
That's crazy. I mean, that's emotional for me.
Yeah.
And it's emotional because I want to be able to give that much, you know?
Yeah.
And seeing, it's like, I'm very inspired by the fact that you made this happen. You're putting this team, and you created a machine of just giving.
Sure.
And I believe that if you give, you shall receive, and the more you give, the more you're going to get back.
Yeah.
And
you got to give to yourself first.
So what do you mean by that?
You got to make sure your company okay, is on solid financial footing. Okay, we are not right now with Hurricane Rania. Okay, now granted, that could change in 2.5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we just turned down over $200,000 in investment money, which could have made everybody's life a lot easier around here.
Right.
But it did not make sense for me and my business partners. So therefore, the financial struggles continue, and the pressures continue, and they can get the most of it. If I had to give advice to you, it would be, I would get a year or two in your business solid before you start to get involved in any community activism or, charitable type endeavors. That would be my advice to take care of yourself. What you're doing is noble enough. What you're doing for that intern, what you're doing for those 2 sales associates, and what you're doing for the people that you're interviewing, that is enough good deed for you right now. Take that management, build your team first, then effectuate it. I had a lot of life experience over you when I started this. You know what I mean? And I made recognition, and from a very prominent family around here, and it was an easy sell for me. It wasn't an easy sell for me, but it was a little easier for me to get the people committed and keep them committed. I've played team sports, I've led teams, I've been there. I've made that great speech when you've had to make it. I've led by example. At times. And you're gonna do that first. You're gonna get that foundation solid before you start reaching out and trying to do other things.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That I would turn the focus inward at first, and then after a year, evaluate where you are. Find out how many. We like to call it the A team. Find out who in your business is qualified to be in your inner circle of trust. Whose intelligence level, whose loyalty and commitment. Have put them there. You know what I mean? And then once you've got a solid enough A team, okay, then you can go about the business of getting more of your tentacles in the community and doing some of the stuff that we have done too. And also the communication thing. I worked at WSAI, and they do great work too. Mm-hmm. When you're in the communications business like we're in, it's a little easier to do the charity stuff because we have the bully pulpit, we have the microphone.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
We have that medium. And that's why we were able to do it. And it was funny because if you listen to my speech that night, when I first started this, people used to laugh and joke that I would be better off with a bullhorn on the bottom of President Avenue.
Well, yeah, right. I remember that.
But now they don't say that anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? They don't say that.
You're speaking to the city now.
Yeah, we're speaking to more than the city. We had 38,000 people in France listening to us.
Wow.
Last Saturday. Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we had a certain guest now. We had an uptick of like 238,000 people in 1 hour. We had this R&B singer on. We're
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're much bigger than this. This is who we are.
Right.
And we don't ever want to leave.
Right.
I'd like to turn South Main Street into a mini Silicon Valley for new media.
That's awesome.
There's some talented production companies out there. There's some talented sound engineers. There's some talented, recording people. There's some, there's talent around here. Hurricane Radio, and you start to see there's a recording studio up the street. We're doing our thing. There was a recording studio across the hall, but we'd like to be the place that everything kind of went off.
That's awesome. Well, it's definitely proven his point, and especially with my company.
Sure.
I'm grabbing your inspiration from you and your company.
Sure.
So your direction is definitely making it to that point. Well, my question to you is, coming up, and I'm a baby in the business world. It seems to be like there's a lot of people who just hate on you, and it's funny how you said speaking from the bullhorn.
Oh yeah.
And what do you say to them, or what do you do?
First of all, you try not to pay them no mind.
Okay.
Okay, you try not to pay them no mind. Anytime you have the type of accomplishments and setbacks that me and my family have had, you're gonna accrue a lot of them. But just know this: that they're hating on you for a reason. It's because you are somebody. And somebody that they may want to be, and that you got the balls to leave a job that you were secure in, that you could have had a beautiful home and not have any financial worries, to do something different and to chase your dreams. And a lot of people wish they had the balls to do it. A lot of people wish they had the courage to do it, that they had the intelligence to do it, or they had the freedom to do it. And a lot of them, don't. And they reflect. But this also a thing called the loud minority. You know what I mean? And that's where the haters kind of tend to fall. They don't speak for everybody, and they do not represent a big enough demographic to even give them consideration. I use it for motivation, you know. But I'm not chasing guys down saying, "Yo, motherfucker, you remember me?" You know what I mean?
Right,
and when he said you were in the shower at the gym talking shit about, I'd be better off with a bullhorn. Well, just know that you were calling me for 20 tickets to our last event.
Right.
So but I don't give that to them. I look at them, they know. You know what I mean? I look at them, they know. But you don't want to spend good energy after that bad bullshit.
Right.
As your responsibilities in business grow and the stress and pressures become more and more intense, you're going to need every ounce of that to stay productive and stay plowing ahead in a positive fashion. Any type of energy spent that way isn't good. Now, don't get me wrong. We're not perfect.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes
We have pride, we have ego. I mean, we're going through the 7 deadly sins, and I think I got 6 of them. You know what I mean? Envy isn't one of them. Thank God. A lot of the haters are envious, but believe me, it takes a certain discipline to do that, and it's a discipline that I didn't always have in my discipline. I don't always have in my life, but as you grow, you grow internally and emotionally, and as well toward you. This type of look. I wouldn't waste any time with bad energy.
Okay.
Going after that.
Right.
Living well and being successful ultimately is the best revenge. And then time will be the judge of that. Certainly.
One thing that I was doing in the beginning, and I felt like I wasn't going the right way, so I'm gonna ask you for your opinion.
Sure.
When I was coming up and trying to learn and trying to grow, everybody who kind of like left me or were starting to hate, I tried to educate. And I felt like...
It's like chasing a bad girlfriend.
I felt like it was getting even more hatred from that. But what I really want to do is really help them, educate them, and make them live like a better life.
But you know the best way to educate them and teach them? It's like a bad relationship. Sometimes people, where we're from, we respond to negative attention. We chase the one who doesn't want to be involved in our project, or who would be good, but is busy doing other things. Like, why you around at the bar for 4 hours? Why don't you come and do a show with me on Hurricane Radio or something? Right. And you got to be careful of that, because ultimately you put the body of work together. And this is what I tell people about Hurricane Radio. We are a new media company, and we have new thought, but we also have old school values and tradition and ethic. And I said, we got caught up into looking to see how many people are listening to us our first week and our second week, and then it went down and went up, and I was like, that. I said, this is what we are. We are bricklayers now. We're going to lay brick every day, every minute, every hour. And we're not going to pick our head up and look up until 3-4 months. And then we're going to see what we did. Then we're going to take a peek, and we're going to go back to laying brick. And then we'll look at another 4 or 5 months. And that helped us, because we stopped worrying about who was listening, what was going on. We just built our product, and it was brick by brick. Brick by brick. If the people laid this first brick, if they were worried about what people were saying about them, or the progress that they made, day to day, no, but do it for 3 or 4 months, and then you'll have 4 walls.
Right.
And that's we kind of been out to. As a matter of fact, I had a meeting and I brought them all out here.
Really?
And I said, we're going to do this brick by brick. I said, we're not going to be checking our ratings. We're not going to be checking our numbers every week or every day. Okay? We're going to work for 6. We're going to put our head down. We're going to work for 6 months. Then we'll take a peek. And then we're going to go back to work for another 6 months. And then we'll take a peek. And then we're going to do the same. And now, 19, 20 months into it, now we look up and we're like, holy shit. You know what I mean? We're so big, and those bricks have accumulated so much that now we have investment companies from all over the country paying attention to us.
That's awesome. So what are your goals going forward? What are your major goals?
I don't know. We're in a situation now where we're either going to get a single investor who's going to give us money and going to stay out of the way and let us do our thing, or we're going to go with a venture capitalist firm or an investment company, give up some control, and improve our quality of life. That is not my goal. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm just letting you know the reality of the situation.
Right.
Tonight,
Sure.
I mean, my landlord's knocking at my door. I mean, I think I got some matches, $8. I'm trying to, put parties together in LA, Boston, New York City. You know what I mean? Getting ready to meet with Gain Capital. You know what I mean? Have some of the biggest clients that we've ever dealt with at Hurricane, and I'm walking around with $8 in my pocket. You know what I mean? But we see it. Hi, Frankie. But we see it other places, and we see the value, and we see what we have, and what the potential could be. So that keeps going. But we need resources. We need capital. The plan is to again create a footprint that can give people, put 100 people gainfully employed.
That's awesome.
In South Coast, in a place that desperately needs it. You know what I mean? A place that desperately needs jobs and fun jobs, not a job, working in a factory or a fish processing plant or doing piecework and putting together, toys. You know what I mean?
Right.
We want jobs that can let people use their creativity. That if they have an idea, they can take it and run with it, and there's going to be support for them to develop it and be creative in a non-traditional work environment and with progress. I mean, if you look at some of the more successful companies, Apple and some of the other places, they've kind of fostered that family kind of environment. You know what I mean? And if it's the different kind of work, experience that we like to have at Hurricane Radio. We're not going to make you come in here with a coat and tie every day.
Right.
We're not going to have you humped over a sewing machine. We're not going to have you burying in a fish processing plant. We want you to use your creative energy. We want you to work. We want you to to use your intelligence and like another kind of employment here. If we could, if I die, Hurricane Radio has 100 people gainfully employed, then I would say that I'd be all right with that.
That's awesome.
Well, I'd be all right with that. And there's this castle I want to buy too.
Where?
In Westport. That was
really?
Yeah. When I wrote the business plan in that dark place, my final goal was right before we went. I went there. A friend of mine had rented it. She was doing very well. She was living on the West Coast, so she had rented it for the week. And it's in Westport, and it's the Charlton Estate, and it was for sale. And when I was in that dark place, I said, I want that castle.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? And I don't know if I'll get there, but we've accomplished most of the stuff on that list has been accomplished already. So I'm happy. But I mean, we got to keep. It's all we got to keep it.
Right.
And sometimes on my dark days, I say, it's all about giving people opportunity, and it's all about that castle.
That's awesome.
Because the castle, metaphorically, symbolically, means financial success ultimately. You know what I mean? And I think that that's what we want to be. But we also want to have that kind of blueprint and footprint, that kind of connection to the people that we see every day.
That's awesome.
That we see every day. So yeah.
I appreciate everything that you've told me.
Sure.
From creating that soul in the company,
Sure.
making people feel special, and ultimately giving to people.
I said I haven't been very good at that over the last 30 to 60 days, but I was.
Sure.
When it was very important, and I know that I got to get back there as well too. Another thing, self-evaluate and self-scout yourself. I think that's something that we're good at Hurricane Radio. We're good at being able to say, okay, we have this party with 2,000, we have this speech with 2,000 people there, and then we throw this party for one of our clients, and we break a 20-year record that they had, and we have this, we do this event, and it's a tremendous success. It's easy to get drunk with success. It's easy to be like, but while you can enjoy the success, it's also very critical on Monday morning to wake up, every month or so and evaluate yourself and say, okay, this is where we're deficient. We're deficient with staffing. We don't have enough video production. We're going to expand that game. We need to get some production equipment handle some production in-house in the studio. We got to get our financials tighter. So it's good to be self-aware and to scout yourself. The best pro best pro football teams and basketball teams, when they're getting ready to play in the playoffs or potential matchups, they will put their coaching staff and say, okay, now you work for the Heat. Now you tell us, how would you attack us? Where are our weaknesses? You know what I mean? And I think it's important that you do that, that you can step away and say, hey, okay, this is where we're deficient. We need to spend time and energy and resources in this area, A, B, and C, to get better. A lot of people like to play to their strengths, a lot. And it's good, believe me, it's good to play to your strengths, but you've got to be very aware of your weaknesses, and you've got to do something to develop that as well, too. And we're also trying to become much more diversified. We're morphing into a promotion company, a marketing PR company. We're much more than just a radio station here. Radio station is our soul and our core, okay? But it's not all that we are here. It's not all that we are here.
That's awesome. Well, I can definitely see this company growing to the next level.
I hope so.
Just from all the core value subjects that you topped off, and you sharing that advice with people, I mean, it's just going to take it to the next level.
Sure.
And me, myself, I'm walking out here with tons of golden nuggets. And I hope everybody watching, your friends, my friends, take the golden nuggets and walk away and do something with their idea.
Well, let me tell you one thing about the golden nugget, okay? And this was the first thing we talked about. Sometimes you're going to dig that extra 6 feet to get it, But let me tell you something. We talked a lot about core. We talked a lot about soul. We talked a lot about a lot of that stuff that's really, you can't really tangible. One thing for sure that I don't know if I've mentioned enough is hard work. You know what I mean? If you don't have that work there, okay, then none of this is possible. None of what we talked about. I mean, it starts fundamentally, brick by brick, with hard work. And hard work isn't necessarily being bent over a construction site all the time.
Right.
But hard work is hard work. Whether it's hard work here, whether it's hard work with your hands, hard work is hard work, and you have to match. You have to work harder than anybody else. Like, there's no doubt about it that we work harder than the four of our Lutz. There's no doubt about it that we work harder than WSAR or 7. There's no doubt about that. We did a 10-day original programming marathon that no radio station in New England could possibly do.
Crazy.
WEI can't do it. They're not staffed deep enough to do it. So I mean, it's work. It starts with work. But we do a good job of making the hybrid between work and fun and value. So when you talk about how you're talking about, like, how I built this company through volunteers, and you're struggling doing that, we found the right chemistry. Okay, we're going to expect you to. I mean, I threw one of my best friends, stage 4 cancer. Okay, that girl that I introduced to you.
Right.
Okay, we're in a little bit of conflict now. I flew her out the other day because we had made a deal. Okay, and one of my best friends, Sarah, and they were doing a show with me once a week, and we made a deal we agreed upon. They violated that deal, and we got into conflict because and when I told her that, says that we're not going to treat you any differently because of where you are or your sickness or anything like that. And that's the value that we were giving her, and she did not want that. She wanted everything to be treated just like everybody else. And there were times when you got to do some difficult shit or some and I probably didn't handle it the right way, and sometimes it gets you to a point of weakness and exposes you watching your personality, but to get that kind of commitment and dedication every once in a while, you're going to let everybody know, hey, okay, you're right, we're not clocking you in and we're not clocking you out, and we're definitely not paying you, but don't ever get it twisted that there is, quality standards here. And when I feel that those aren't being met, or I feel like those are being ignored, then that's the difficult time me being the president of this company, where I have to crack the whip. And if I'm going to throw my childhood best friend, I love her to death, who's crazy as shit, you know what I mean? If I throw her out of here, with stage 4 cancer, I'll throw anybody the fuck out. Shit. If I don't think that those standards are being met properly,
right.
You know what I mean? And our friendship will endure, and she will be back. I may have to go down here and get on my hands and knees, and I'm not above doing that for the right person, but you build that in. You take, just because they're volunteers, or just because you're not paying them, entry level radio jobs are only going to pay $10 an hour anyway. I mean, if you're at Kicks 106 or following wherever you are. So the money's really not there. The open mic and the opportunity that's where the value is, okay? So if you hold them to a standard and challenge them and say that you want to be the best and that we're going to be the best and we're committed to be the best, and you can integrate that into a family concept, like we say at Hurricane Radio, we cannot pay you, but we will feed you good.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, and you can integrate that. You know, everybody can get around over a couple of boxes of pizza or a couple of beers, and we can have that event where we all travel to, like Blagapalooza in Boston, which we took over. You know, if you can find that right chemistry with, okay, we're going to work hard, we're going to maintain that commitment and that commitment to quality, but, you know, we're also going to enjoy the experience and the ride with each other, and, you know, we're going to do it. And giving people something that they can, you know, feel that they're wanted and valued and they're part of something, you know, is what we've been able to do here. And I think that's what you're looking
Right,
to
exactly.
do, you know, at your place. And it takes time, you know, it takes time. It's hard. I mean, I told you, we interviewed 700 people. We kept
crazy.
These shows.
That's one thing that like clicked in my head. I'm like, 700 people?
700 people. We had a line around the corner for 2 days.
Wow.
When we first started. We only kept 3 shows from that.
That's
You
crazy.
know, but usually the magic's in the next layer of dirt, the next row of brick, okay, or the next rock that you're gonna turn over. Usually that's where it's at.
So what happens, I have to ask this question, what happens to people who, they tell you, hey, I'm gonna put in that hard work, I'm motivated, and then they start falling back? How many chances do you give that person? Or is it a matter of chances?
I mean, Frankie, we've given them, we've given people in here 5, 6 chances. We don't like to close the door permanently on anybody that we've let in. Okay, we're very well aware of the environment that we live in. We're very well aware of the socioeconomic pressures. We're very well aware of the struggles that many of us have with our families, with addiction, with people losing their jobs, financial pressures, you know, a lot of stuff, you know, that goes that we have in abundance around here. And, you know, I don't feel right permanently closing the door on anybody that's been involved in here, because if people would apply those principles to my brother Chris, then where would he be? You know, Henry Ford went bankrupt like 9 or 10 times, you know, before he made money. What if they would have held him to that? I mean, I think Abe Lincoln lost like 5, 6, 7 elections or something like that.
Right.
You know, I mean, you know, we're in a perfect world, we're in a perfect company, and, you know, so we don't really like to close the door on anybody. Now, when they start eating up a lot of your time, and they start and your emotional time, and it becomes like unhealthy at time, then you have to cut ties. Like I've told one young woman that she needed to take 2 weeks off, and that you know, she took 2 weeks off and came back, you know, with her head on straight and ready to rock and roll and make the promises that she said she was going to do, then we would take her back. And I never thought that we'd see her again. She was here on the 15th day, ready to work. We also have something at Hurricane that's very, very important. And with this place, because it's a fun environment, you know, and it's good-looking people, and it's smart, dynamic people around, and it's real busy and it's real active. But, you know, and so it's easy to kind of get caught up in it. And so you'll have a lot of people, like, when they come in, give a lot right away. You know what I mean? And we need it all. Anything that anybody give, we need it. We'll never say no to it. But just because you might have given extra on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday does not allow you to miss your scheduled responsibility on Friday. Take care of your scheduled responsibilities first, okay? And then, if you do above and beyond, that is dynamite, you know what I mean? But going above and beyond some days and missing your basic responsibilities because you're burnt out, you gotta be you know, cognizant of that. So, you know, give me, tell me no secrets, I'll tell you no lies. Tell me what you're gonna do, and do that to the best of your ability. Okay, anything above and extra, that's gonna make that you've gonna have to make it, and we're thankful and we're grateful, and we'll give you all the work you can handle, but not at the expense of your core responsibilities. You know, here, you know, we got to sing here, you know, at Hurricane Radio. If you're good to us, we'll be better to you.
Nice.
You know?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, ending it on that. Thank you.
That's
very
Lamont
much.
Spit Raw Ferguson. He's got the creative.